What I want to demo today is just a quick little paper fold technique that you can sort of create little pieces like this for a card front, or maybe to put a title on a layout. You could probably mount a photo on there as well. Just makes a nice little backdrop for a card or a page, even an art journal. Or if you just take one fold out, which I'll show you how to do, you can turn it into this instead, which is an actual card base on its own, with a cute little dimension and texture there with the fold. So all that you need to create these little cute projects is one piece of double-sided pattern paper. You could create it with a solid cardstock, but you would lose a little bit of the detail in the folds there because it would all be the same color rather than the back and front, like side A and side B showing. So you would take your one sheet of paper and you would cut it down to 9.5 by 6. So 6 inches tall by 9.5 inches long. And I will, I'll take a photo of this, which has like all the measurements for your score lines. And I'll write down a few other measurements that you would need, and I'll send this template in the email so that you have it for reference. I am also recording the video that you can check on YouTube later. So you need one sheet of paper cut down to 6 inches tall by 9.5 inches long. From there, you are going from one end. It doesn't matter which side you start on because you're going to flip it and do the same thing on both sides. So just pick a side to start on, and you're going to start making some score marks in this sheet of paper. So you're going to go in 3/4 of an inch from the outside edge, and you're going to score. Then you're going to go 1 inch from the edge and score. Then 1 3/4 inch, score. 2 inch, score. 2 3/4 inch, 3 inch, 3 3/4 inch, and 4 inch. So those are all the measurements that you are going to score at. So 3/4 inch, 1 3/4, 2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 3/4, and 4. Once you've gotten all the way to your 4 inches, so you've made all those score marks, you're gonna flip your paper and you're gonna do the exact same thing from the other side. So you're gonna score at all of those same measurements from the outside in on both sides.
How far apart are they? Are they 1/2 inch apart?
They don't wind up being, so they wind up being 3/4 of an inch apart and 1/4 of an inch apart, and then 3/4 of an inch apart, and then 1/4. They're different.
I don't mean the length. I don't mean the length of them. I mean how far apart are they? The score lines.
How far apart are they?
Like they're 3/4 of an inch long and 1 inch long. But
no, that's how far they are away from the edge of the paper. They go from top to bottom, the whole length.
From top to bottom, how far apart are they? 1/2 inch each line? Like between your 3/4 inch line and your 1 inch line, how far apart is that?
Well, between 3/4 inch and 1 inch, that's 1/4 of an inch.
No, that's in the length of it. That's from...
No, Val, sorry, Val, I'm just going to jump in because I totally get what you're doing. Because you're reading those amounts going side to side, that's how you're doing it. You're actually putting them in.
The score marks are going...
The arrows going in, that's just showing you which way you're scoring. It's not showing how far apart they are or how far in you're scoring. The first score would be up and down at the 3/4 inch mark. The next one would be at the 1 inch mark, so it's 1/4 of an inch apart. Then the next one's at 1 3/4, so the next one is 3/4 inch from that. Then you go to the next one at...
Okay.
How
long are they then?
From top to bottom, the whole way.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, the arrows are, now that I see what you're saying, confusing. They're just, yeah, that was my way of trying to say, like, from here to there, then from here to there. But yeah, that was poorly communicated on my side. So yeah, all of these score marks are from the top to the bottom, the full 6 inches, score down. Then you're going to flip it and do the same thing from the other side. Once you have done that, you're going to go to this 4 inch score mark and just draw a little nick at the top, like just a tiny little black mark so that it's easy for you to see, just a tiny little dot at the 4 inch mark. And then you're going to go to the outside edge of your paper, which started as a full rectangle, so like this part would have been here on the paper, and you're going to measure up from the bottom corner 1 3/4 inches, So from here to there, that's 1 3/4 inches. And you're going to draw just another little tick. And that's just a visual guide so you can draw, or so you can cut this angle. So that's from the 4-inch. So from here to here is 4 inches. And from here to here is 1 3/4 inches. And then you're going to cut that angle off. And then you're going to do the same thing at the top. So you're going to draw a dot at the 4-inch mark. And then from here down 1 3/4 inches, you're going to draw another tick and cut that same angle. Then you're going to go ahead to the other side and do the same thing. So you have those 4 angles all cut the same on all 4 corners. And that is going to leave you with a piece of paper that looks like this, that has a bunch of score marks in it. So what you are going to do once you've done that, I did not cut the angles off of this, so I'm going to quickly do that. So just like that, you're going to cut those angles off. And then you are going to start accordion folding your score marks. So the very first one at 4 inches, I guess you have to pick a side A and a side B, which side you want to be your dominant and non-dominant side. So whichever side you want, like for this one, I wanted my floral to be my front. So I am going to, as backwards as it seems, lay it this direction. So the part that I want to show on the front here, I am going to lay backwards. Is that right? No, it's not. I'm gonna lay it forwards. I lied. So if this is the side you want facing forward, then you want to be seeing it when you start your fold, and you're going to fold your first one back onto itself. So that 4-inch score line,
like this, and she had the 3/4 and 1/4.
you fold back.
How far between these two?
So once you've done that, then you just start accordion folding back and forth and back and forth.
So Chantal, those score lines go all the way across the page.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. It was this all those different.
Technically,
those lines you drew should have gone all the way across.
Well,
those measurements.
These arrows were my ridiculous way of trying to show you that it was from here to there is 3/4 of an inch, and then from here to there is 1 inch. It was just showing you how far until to do that score line. It was poorly demonstrated on my side.
But those score lines would go all the way across.
They go top to, they're not across this direction. They're up and down this direction.
Yeah.
And they do go from top to bottom all the way.
Yeah. But those are just the different, okay.
Yeah. I've used this before when we've done other cards to show how far in you score, so I thought it would still work with this, but because there's so many, it just didn't translate the way I wanted it to, so I'm very sorry to confuse you all with that. But the score marks, like I just folded my first score line, and you can see like it goes top to bottom all the way down. Then I'm going to accordion fold my next one back on itself. And then back and forth and back and forth. And when you are done, you should have something that looks like that. So that is all the folds. Now for this one, I liked the contrast in the center of side B showing. So I went ahead and I cut an extra square of paper and I tucked it in because you can see it's the floral side facing forward. And to me, that's a lot of floral on floral on floral on floral. So let me see if I think I have. This isn't quite the right size, but you would cut a piece of paper that is 6 inches by 1.5 inches, and you would tuck it right in there to give you that contrast. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side of my paper and cut those angles off and do the other accordion fold to show you how it looks when it's folded on both sides. same thing, I'm gonna lay my floral side facing up, and I'm gonna start by folding it back on itself, and then just accordion fold forward, back, forward. All right, so that gives me that sort of backwards curtain fold. At that point, I glued mine down, so I put score tape on all of these little 1/4 inch sections and glued all those folds down, both on the front and the back, so that it would sit nice and flat. And for this direction, if you want to use it this direction, I also did cover this center piece with a different pattern paper. You could use a solid cardstock as well, just to sort of break up all that pattern. The cool thing about this, now that like once you've figured out this fold technique, it's very versatile. Like you could cut it just in half and just use, you know, 1/2 of it, and it could be a cute, you know, border on the top of a card or a layout. Or if you take that 4 inch score mark out, so if you scored it at 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 3/4 inch, 2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 3/4, if you did not do the 4 inch score mark, then you would be left with it folding in on itself, but you have to leave obviously way more space in here. So if you're doing this type of one, it's the exact same thing. You start on the outer edge and do all your score marks in, flip it over, outer edge and in, but leave it 11.5 inches long instead of 9.5 inches long, because you need more space in the center for these pieces to fold on themselves. Does that make sense? So the technique is exactly the same for this card. Oh, I guess the other piece of information that would be different for this, it wouldn't have to be. You could do it just exactly like this. But if you notice, I only have the angle going from top down, and it's a steeper angle as opposed to the angle from the top and the bottom. So you can fool around with where you measure that tick to cut and whether you do a top one and a bottom one. Like I made that number up. Like you can angle it wherever you want. Just make sure if you're doing the 2 angles that you keep the number the same so that it matches. Or if you're going just from the top down, maybe give it a steeper angle, and then the bottom you would just leave like this. This one I didn't cut the bottom at all, but I just did a much steeper angle from the top down. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions?